You're now tuned in to the latest, the newest, hottest show on YouTube. I got a story to tell. Hosted by your boy, OG Sonny Blanco. Fire interviews, worldly topics, and much more. Stay tuned. OG Sonny Blanco. I got a story to tell. You heard?
Good people. You're now tuned in. OG Sonny Blanco, I got a story to tell you, heard? And today, the fourth installment in the series titled Labels, featuring some of your most prolific and iconic engineers and designers of our time. In today's installment, we'll be featuring three iconic designers, three iconic black designers to be exact. First on the list, Karl Kani. Second, Ann Lowe. Last but not least, Dapper Dan. Enjoy. But first, good people, do me a favor. Like, share, and subscribe. Let's get into it. Labels. First on the list, Karl Kani. Born Carl Williams, May 23rd, 1968, in Limon, Costa Rica, to a Panamanian father and a Costa Rican mother. In the 60s, the family migrated to Flatbush, Brooklyn. At the age of 16, he started designing clothes after learning the essentials at his father's shop. You see, Karl never studied tailoring or design, but he had a natural eye. He had a natural flair and swag, almost like Barry Gordon of Motown. You see, Barry never played, he never studied music, but he had an ear, a natural ear for good quality sounds and good quality music. You see, Karl, he was the same way when it came to fashion. He would buy material and go to the tailor shop, tell the tailor exactly how he wanted the garment to look, what to put where, and also the color scheme. It was always said that Karl would have a fly saying like, yo, I keep a fresh outfit. Nobody got this, right? So yo, while he was out on the town, with the tailored garments, he was a walking billboard. Karl would be at the clubs like Bentley's and the Rooftop, and guys would ask him, hey yo, where you get that from, son? So Karl, being a hustler he was, got to the BI, he started taking orders, right? So he'd take the orders, he'd get the material, go to the tailor, tell the tailor what size to make it, how he want it made, where to put what, the color scheme, take it back to the fella that just made the order and get paid off of it, right? That was a smart move, nothing for nothing. But yo, let's fast forward. In 1989, he left Brooklyn and moved to LA, where he and a friend opened a clothing shop on Crenshaw Boulevard. Hey, yo, maybe that's where young Nipsey was inspired. Who knows? Alright, but back to the shop. The shop on Crenshaw was a failure. They made no profit at the location. After the shop was robbed, they moved the shop to Hollywood. There, he came up with the brilliant idea to start a catalog. Yes, good people, before the internet, people shopped out of catalogs. We actually went to the mall. Can you believe it? Right. But yo, the catalog was a great idea for Karl, right? He sold the catalog for $2 a book, $2 every catalog. They began to make a slight profit, but not enough money to lead to any business, right? Because they wasn't selling the clothes, they was just selling the catalog, which didn't lead to a lot of money, right? So while struggling in LA, he never gave up, always asking himself, can I do it? Can I really build a fashion empire? Can I do it? Can I become the Ralph Lauren of the hood? Can I be that dude in this fashion industry, right? This consistent thought led him to changing his name to Karl Kani, a variation of Can I. He replaced the C with the stylish K and got to business. In 1989, that fly Costa Rican Brooklyn kid launched Karl Kani, a hip-hop fashion brand. He was inspired by his love for hip-hop and fashion. So I guess some was right. All that asking, can I, right? He was right. He asked himself, can I? And he proved he could. Within a minute, Karl took the hip-hop world by storm. He had dudes like Tupac rocking his garments, Biggie rocking his garments, Aaliyah rocking his garments, Nas rocking his garments, Diddy rocking his garments. I mean, none for nothing. At one time, he had the hip-hop game on Smash. You could turn on the TV, see Will the Fresh Prince. Will Smith on the Fresh Prince rocking his garments, right? He had the hip-hop world on Smash at one time. So salute to that kid, right? Karl Kani, Karl Kani, and he did. He did it from humble beginnings and a flair for fashion and a hell of an eye. Karl Kani. Next on the list, Ann Lowe. Now, good people, let me introduce you to this amazing woman. She is known as the first black noted fashion designer. Her designs were so popular among upper-class women, they lasted for 5 decades, from the 1920s up until the 1960s. Now let's get into this amazing woman's more than overlooked story. Ann was born in Clayton, Alabama, December 1898. She was the granddaughter of a slave woman and her plantation owner. Now, good people, there's only 2 ways this story could go. Either he held them down, a la Thomas Jefferson, or he dismissed them as just being his property to do as he pleased. I hope for the first option, although the second was more of the story back then. Ann attended school in Alabama until the age of 14, when she dropped out. Her interest in fashion came very early in life due to the fact that her mother, Mrs. Janey, and her grandmother, Mrs. Georgia, were both seamstresses that ran a dressmaking shop, which was often frequented by the first families and other well-to-do and high society people in Montgomery, Alabama. To show how strong and courageous this young woman was, now I told you she's amazing, right? Let me show you how strong and courageous she was. At the age of 16, her mother died. You think Ann gave up? You think Ann called it quits? If Ann gave up or called it quits, we wouldn't be talking about Ann right now, right? Let's get into this amazing woman. At the age of 16, after her mother's death, Ann took over the family business. In 1917, Ann and her son, now hold on, let's back up real quick. Where did son come from? I can't tell you. I did my research, I did all of that. I knew Mama Love passed away, she took over the business, then all of a sudden, she got a son. Mind you, she young and all that, right? Alright, but she's still strong, she doing what she gotta do. So in 1917, her and her son takes the show on the road. They pack it up, and they move uptown, Harlem, NYC. Let's get ready for Miss Ann, right? Guess what Ann does? She enrolls into the S.T. Taylor Design School. Now watch this greasy shit. At the time, schools were segregated, so little old Ann had to attend class alone. You heard me. She had to sit in class alone. Maybe being to the fact that there were no other blacks in the school, or either there were no other blacks in the school in her major. You think that stopped Ann again? Come on, good people. You see the pedigree she cut from. Hell no, that ain't stopped Ann. She went so hard that she rose above her peers. Her work was often shown to her white contemporaries in recognition of her outstanding artistry. You heard? Ma was so ill that she was eligible for graduation after only attending the school for a half a year. Watch this, right? Michael Jordan was born to play ball. Floyd Mayweather, boxing since a baby, he was born to box. Good old Ann Lowe, she was born to design. That's a fact. She had a spirit in her. She had a drive in her like no other, right? So let's get back to the story. After graduating in 1919, Ann packed it up again and moved with her son to Tampa, Florida. In 1920, she opened her first dress salon. The salon catered to the elite and quickly became a success. Having gotten to the bag, she saved up 20 stacks. Now mind you, it's 1920, good people. 20 stacks in 1920, that's like 20 million right now. That's a whole fact, no exaggeration. That's like 20 million right now, right? So yo, after getting to the bag, she saved a little money up, and guess what she did? This strong young black single parent show you the drive she got, and the dedication and the ambition and the spirit to succeed that she had. This beautiful, amazing woman packed it up again with her 20 stacks. Her little man went back to New Yiddy. They went back to New York. Now during the 50s and the 60s, Ann worked as a subcontractor of sorts. She was working on commission for high-end retail stores like Saks Fifth Avenue, Neiman Marcus, just to name a few. In 1946, she designed the dress that Olivia de Havilland wore to accept her Academy Award for Best Actress. The beautiful lady designed the dress that Jackie O, y'all know who Jackie O is? Jackie O, that's good old Bobby Kennedy old lady. Not Bobby, I apologize, John, the president, John F. Kennedy. She designed the dress that Jackie O got married in. But watch this funky shit right here. They never gave her credit. For example, the Academy Award dress, designed by her, made by her, but the name said Sonia Rosenberg, who had absolutely nothing to do with the dress, besides the fact that the dress was sold in her store. Now, good people, the first wedding dress and the bridesmaid dresses were destroyed in a flood, which took her 2 months to create. But good old strong Miss Ann put a team together of 10 people, and within 10 days, they made the exact same dresses that took them 2 months to make previously. Right? Show you how strong that woman was. Dedicated. And she never said a word to the family. She never told them the original dresses got destroyed. But watch good old Jackie O. Watch Jackie O. When asked about her wedding and bridesmaid dresses, she simply said, a color woman. A colored woman. This is all Jackie O said. A colored woman made them. OMG. Ann was the first black fashion designer to open a shop on Madison Avenue. High society and fashion's best kept secret by far. She never got her credit, but she got her money. So I let you know sometimes. Fortune over the fame. Salute. Ann Lowe. Good people, before we get into the next designer, do me a favor. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Now last, but definitely not least, we got the Don. We got the flyest one of them all. We got the Dapper one himself. Dapper Dan, Uptown's finest. Let's get into it. Dap's birth name is Daniel Day. Born August the 8th, 1944 in Harlem, New York. His father, Robert Day, was a civil servant, and his mother, Lily was a homemaker. Dap had 3 brothers and 3 sisters. They lived in a 3-bedroom apartment on 129th and Lexington Avenue. Now Dap being a street kid from uptown, at the tender age of 13, he was already a professional gambler. Like, he was skilled at the age of 13, stopping, bank, head cracking, all of that. Right? He did that for a few years. So with success from gambling and a few other ventures, this is what led to the financing of his first store. Now, as I said, that was a street dude, right? Into all type of things that went on in the streets. And we talking about back in the day, right? So from hustling to scrambling, Dap was into it, right? At some point in time, he found himself hooked on dog food, heroin, as we call it, heroin, right? He got tired of that lifestyle. He wanted to change, right? After listening to a speech by Malcolm X, which was titled, "If you want to understand the flower, study the seed." Hold on, back up. Powerful, powerful, wise words from a powerful, wise man. Salute Malik El Shabazz, better known as Malcolm X. Words like that touched Dap and sparked some in him, and Dap went on a complete 360 from there, right? In 1960, Dap worked for a Harlem newspaper, which was named 40 Acres and a Mule, as his first passion was writing. He loved writing. That was his first thing. Like, he was into the books, into reading, into writing stories and all of that, right? Around the same time, Dap went through a lifestyle change, becoming a vegetarian. From 1968 to 1974, he toured Africa. Upon returning to Harlem in 74, Dap decided to jump back into the clothing industry, right? Being a hustler, he sold shoplifted merchandise at first out the trunk. Well, you know how it go. You catch something on the low, you know what I mean? Go to Canal Street or whatever, throw something in the trunk. He was moving like that, right? With the success of his hustle, Dap opened in 1982 Dapper Dan's Boutique on 125th between Madison and 5th Avenue. At the time, the shop was a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week spot, right? Dap was getting to that bag, sun up to sun down. He was on his grind. Dap made garments to fit the person. He once said that he would ask the customer what he or she was into, what were their passions. With this info, he went to work. For example, Eric being Rakim. Eric was a playboy, a fly dude, a little gangsterish, right? So therefore, he made a fit for E's personality. On the other hand, Rakim was into the knowledge of self and the Nation of Guards and Nerfs. Therefore, his fit had his attribute and universal flag on it. Dap originally wanted to be a wholesaler, but faced prejudice as he ventured out. He struggled to buy the textiles, he struggled with the furs, he struggled with the companies that refused to do business with him because of his race or because of the location. So with this, Dap switched it up on him and taught himself as much as he could about the industry so that he could create his own designs from top to bottom. Took control. Now Dap couldn't sew, and he never considered himself a tailor. Dap had the vision and built the team around him to bring forth that vision, one being A$AP Ferg's father, hence the name Ferg. and a few African brothers and sisters that helped inspire some of the designs. Dap never referred to his designs as knockoffs, but rather knock-ups. Peep that fly shit, because he brought a more extravagant and elegant look to the garment. Dap invented a new process for screen printing onto leather, which no one at the time was doing. With Dap's screen printing, along with his fur and leather background, Dapper Dan was unstoppable, taking high-end fashion labels, using their logo, but designing in a way that these fashion houses never ever in their life thought about. Dap's designs were all over NYC, first being supported by the biggest names in the streets. For example, cats like Alpo, cats like Rich Porter, cats like AZ. You know what I mean? He was getting to the bag, and the only ones who could really afford that was the street dudes, right? They appreciated his work. We talking about the Supreme Team. We talking about Killer Ben. We talking about all type of names. You know what I mean? Rondo. We talking about K-Sun. We talking about all type of names. They appreciated his work, right? But then Dap started catering to the rappers, right? He started catering to the rappers, and then it was a whole different game, right? He would cater to cats like Eric B. and Rakim, you know what I mean? He would cater to cats like the Juice Crew, right? He would cater to cats like Boogie Down Productions, right? He would cater to cats like Mike Tyson, right? Right. Speaking of the champ, speaking of good old Mike, right? Mike is the reason why Dap's whole situation, why his whole shop got shut down, right? You see, for a while, the big fashion houses such as Louis, Gucci, Fendi, just to name a few, were wondering where these fabulous city designs, these fabulous urban designs with their logos was coming from, right? But they couldn't figure it out because Dap was on the low, right? Until one infamous night. One infamous night when the champ himself, Mike Tyson, pulls up at Dap's to grab a few garments that Dap had made for Mike, right? Now, washed up boxer by the name of Mitch Blood Green, who Mike had beat in a previous fight earlier, happens to be from Harlem. It just so happens that he ends up on 125th. He ends up at Dapper Dan's at the same time that Mike shows up, right? Quiet as kept, Mitch admitted later that someone called him and let him know that Mike was up at Dap's shop, right? A major fight broke out when Mike gave Mitch the illest eye jammy the world has ever seen, right? I mean, Mike beat the brakes. Hold on. Let me show you what's going on. Look at this eye jammy. Look at that. Like, what we really talking about? I mean, Mike beat the brakes off his son in front of Dapper Dan's, right? He beat the brakes off her family, messed his wrist up and all of that. Mike was going bananas on he was going bananas on Mitch, right? So, yo, after the fight, of course, his famous Mike Tyson and his a little known run-of-the-mill boxer named Mitch Green gets into it in front of Dap's shop. So of course the press gets involved, right? They coming down, they taking flicks and all of that good stuff, right? But they taking flicks right in front of Dap's shop, which led the big boy fashion houses, Gucci, Louis, Fendi, MCM and all of that, let them know exactly where Dap was located at, right? Then them boys got on him. Them alphabet boys got on him, right? Dap was in hot water with the feds, right? He had to shut the whole operation down and take the show on the road. So Dap started hitting places like DC. He started hitting places like Chi-Town and all of that. The Carolinas, Georgia, Virginia, because at the same time when he had the shops, these same dudes that was coming from down south was coming to shop with Dap in New York. So he figured take the show on the road and bring the merchandise to them. Doorstep action, you heard? So yo, after a while, things settled down for a little while, Dap was able to finagle to move around a little bit. But recently, after all of this time, the big boy fashion labels, they finally recognized Dap's talent. And Dap started doing collabs with major labels. The same labels, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Fendi, right? Many ventures he's been able to capitalize on just off the iconic designs that he made back in the early 80s and 90s. Salute, Dapper Dan, a legend.
You're now tuned in to the latest, the newest, hottest show on YouTube. I got a story to tell. Hosted by your boy, OG Sonny Blanco. Fire interviews, worldly topics, and much more. Stay tuned. OG Sonny Blanco. I got a story to tell. You heard?